Hi there, and thanks for joining us here. We've got Roger all the way from Darwin and Nita all the way from WA. So, Roger, we're just talking before about a bit of your journey in terms of what is success for you. What does it mean for you to be your success?
Well, I guess, success for me is that I'm a work in progress. I started on probably a self-development journey in the early to mid 90s. So that, 25, 20, 28 years ago, I suppose. But each time I've done something different, it's taken me to a different level. So, I rather look at myself as a work in progress rather than a destination with success. So, like I feel the changes in my own physical body, which is always a great indication for me. And I guess one of the little processes going from losing a little bit of urine in my bladder up to 40 or more times a day down to maybe once and quite often nothing in a day, it almost in an instant. But that was at the end of a culmination of quite a few different processes. But
and just briefly, how did that come about for you, Roger?
Well, I used one of our processes called the chair. I invited my bladder to have a conversation with me and asked it, why it was the way it was. And I guess, I'm 68 and I've probably had a weak bladder or Japanese bladder, which is often referred to my entire life. I wet the bed as a child and right up into close to my teenage years. So, and if you look at it from an emotional point of view, it's, bedwetting is fear of the father. So, I had a conversation with my bladder and my bladder said to me, I said, what's going on here? What do you need to feel safe? And my bladder said back to me, you don't have to be afraid of your father anymore. And what's even more important is he can't hurt your mother anymore. So my dad was quite a violent alcoholic, but, in a way, he was an incredible sportsman and worker and things as well. So there was a massive conflict for me. I admired him and I hated him at the same time. So, resolving things with my dad has been an ongoing thing for me. So, yeah.
What a fabulous story. And as it turns out, your body tells you, hey.
Oh, absolutely. Like, I can fill a water bottle and the sound of running water doesn't want to make me pee anymore like it used to, which was something I had no control over. And here I am, 68 years old, and I have got control over my bladder. But that's just one tiny little physical reflection that I know that I've hit a nail on the head and resolved something in my past. So.
Awesome, amazing. And that came about through a process. You want to just quickly share?
It's called a process called the chair, which is part of the TRTP things that, one of the tools we can use in TRTP. So,
right.
TRTP is a very efficient and reasonably quick way of resolving anxiety, depression, PTSD. And I don't know that I really ever considered myself to be anxious or depressed. I've experienced many, many traumas in my life, so there's probably some PTSD in it. But I was a pretty easygoing sort of person, but it was able to uncover all sorts of things that I had really pushed down and hidden in my life. And I guess one of the most recent ones I've discovered would be my fear of exams. I remember wetting my pants during an exam and having to leave and not finish the exam. And I was dyslexic too at school, so that wasn't a great deal of help at school. But being dyslexic and mildly autistic as I am, of incredible gifts that I have to bring to therapies and things that I do, and the inventiveness that I have. So, and when I was at school, there was no such thing. Dyslexia or dyslexic wasn't even invented when I was at school, so nobody ever diagnosed me. But it's just observations that I've made from reading books and listening to the podcasts and things over the years that I can say that I'm absolutely dyslexic. But one of the gifts of being dyslexic is thinking in pictures. So it's something that I love to use as a therapist. So.
Thanks, Roger. I really appreciate you sharing that, some personal stories there. And Nita, how about yourself? How can you share with us about your journey to what we might call a place of being your success?
Oh, I was weird as a child, and I always wanted to know why. Why did you do that? I was more interested in people's brains and how they thought and why they thought that way. And it's only on reflection now when you're asking me this, I'm going, that's why I got where I am now with TRTP is the why. Being weird as a child, could hear and see things that weren't there. So I'm a healer and a psychic. You can't really openly talk about that, or I couldn't when I was younger and I had to go into a proper job. And because of my why, I then went into studying being a counsellor, and I still was asking why. And I always wanted to get to the bottom of things. Don't do the prissy healing stuff up here or the talk therapy, go right deep. So when TRTP came along and I was asked if I wanted to partake, and I sat there and I went, yeah, this is so me, because it goes so deep and it changes you for the better forever. So people aren't reliant on me all the time.
Wonderful.
It's amazing.
Good.
And do you have
Well
a
done,
specific
Nita.
example that you could share with us about either yourself or a client?
Oh, yeah. Well, myself, you have to have the sessions before you do the training. My mentor said to me, now you need to find the anger and rage for session 2. And I went, oh, I'm a healer. I don't do rage. And I remember, what a pompous thing to say. And, I found it. I didn't realise I quite like holding on to a flamethrower. Yes, that really shocked me. Out of my pocket, I got a flamethrower. So that was amazing. And the cleansing, the clarity from it was exquisite.
Yes.
And then when Judith took us into session 3 about looking into the future, it was like, bring it on. I can't wait.
I absolutely agree with you. And in my journey, quite similar, the clarity is constantly available to me, whereas prior to that, the confusion seemed to be far more common. And so that's what brought me through to doing some sessions in TRTP and then becoming a practitioner, because with years of other types of therapies, counselling, psychologists, lots of ill health for me as well for a while there, and then just sitting still and quiet in my what I would call a quiet desperation by myself. I just didn't know where to turn. I'm not even sure how I saw or found it, but I'm really grateful that I did my 3 TRTP sessions, and it's not really specific for me. It was quite an entire and general shift, but it was something that I was really looking for in terms of knowing who I am, having more clarity on knowing, I know who I am now. Before that, it's like, some days I do and sometimes I don't. It depends who wafts in and out of my day. That seemed to affect me. And now, I really don't have that issue. I can go straight back to the tools and TRTP and stand in that place, speaking from my gut. And I just love the tools of TRTP. So, and what about, just really quickly, either of you, if you just want to jump in with a real quick, like short example of perhaps one of your clients and the benefits they've found.
I had a client, one of my first 10 clients. Oh, I really wish I could go and do those clients all again. He was amazing. He trusted in me. I bless him, and I still have contact with him now 5 years later. Horrendous life, horrendous, beyond words. And we still have contact now. He stepped through the pain. He left it behind. He became the victor. He left the victimhood behind. And he keeps, when we talk at least 3-4 times a year, he's always going, thank you so much for my life. I've now treated his sister, who experienced the same horrendous life by the father. And he said to me the other day, rang up crying, he said, I've got my sister back. Thank you so much. And I said, we all knew she was there, but now she can be there all the time. Instead of just 10% of the time, now she can be there all the time. And he's just so grateful.
How delicious. Knowing who you are in session 1, session 2, dealing with that anger and gaining some justice for yourself, and session 3, being able to have that clear space to create your future. How simple and fantastic. I'm so glad we're on this journey together, helping ourselves and each other and supporting those people that are looking for this kind of help. So, yeah, I'll catch you guys very, very soon.
Did you want one from me or?
Yes, yes.